I'm joined here tonight on the couch by Amelia Irvine. She's a student at Georgetown University and a Young Voices advocate. And Rashad Gaines is the immediate past chairman of the Black Caucus of the Young Democrats of America. So the president's address still trending today. Anything in the address take either of you by surprise? Amelia, we'll start with you.
Sure. So I think that going into the State of the Union address, Trump's expectations were rather low, but I think that what surprised me was how many big government proposals were in his address. I saw a lot of olive branches, but to be honest, not a lot of compromises that he wanted to get in return.
And not a lot of specificity either.
Yeah, I think President Trump he loves to talk, and he loves to having the camera on him. But what he doesn't love is giving full context. And I think with a lot of the proposals and a lot of the action items that he named, there were a lot of half-truths, or if they were even true, the context that the American people needed wasn't completely there.
But a lot of the broad strokes, not necessarily talking to Republican talking points or Democratic talking points. I mean, couldn't everyone of every party get behind a DACA proposal, infrastructure? These are things that resonate with everybody, correct?
But also context. Like, context is a key factor here. And again, the folks at home, the folks that were listening and watching, they don't live in D.C. They don't have interns and lawyers at their disposal to do research for them. They're not going to have the tools that everybody in D.C. has to get the facts. And so when he speaks to the American people, we need him to give the full context of those conversations.
So this wasn't necessarily a Republican speech as much as it was a Donald Trump speech. So is this something that could push buttons of some of his core supporters?
I think exactly that's what's going to happen. And you saw it today with Ted Cruz saying that he would not support any sort of immigration deal that gave amnesty to anyone who's come to the country without documents. And I think that this is going to push a lot of people's buttons because Trump was not elected by a lot of these proposals that he's putting forth now. He's elected on things like build the wall. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out.
True or false? We're going to have a DACA deal in 7 days when we're scheduled to have another government shutdown.
False.
I think that there could be a deal, but I think that it's going to be all DACA and almost no border security. I don't think that the Republicans are going to win this one.
Now, listen, something else that's really taking Washington by storm this week is this thing called the Nunes memo, okay? It's trending. It's been in the news a lot this week. A lot of people don't think that touches the lives of every American and could have repercussions on surveillance and warrants and things like that. So can you talk about why this is important?
So I will say this. I am not a fan of this particular document being released because I believe that it's a little one-sided. It was written by a GOP staffer. I think it's one-sided. But being a member of the African-American community, I am fully aware of the history of the FBI and other governmental agencies preying on African-American leaders, making them look like things that they are actually not, and slanting public viewpoints against them. So I do think that this is something that has to be addressed when it comes to how we govern and manage the lives of American citizens.
You think it should be released?
Well, I think that, like the Senate, some of the Senate Republicans have said, we need to give the Judiciary Committee some time to look over the documents, make sure that it's not going to interfere with any current investigations, because this is a bigger issue. This isn't just about political grandstanding. There are national security concerns, there are surveillance concerns, and I think Washington is just making it all about Washington when it's not.
Yeah. This is an American issue.
Yeah. And it was an internal squabble, which has now become very publicly and vocally the FBI coming out and saying, we don't want the president to do this because of a number of different reasons. But listen, great perspective from both of you tonight, Amelia Irvine and Rashad Gaines. We appreciate you guys coming in.
Thank you.
Glad we could have this talk.